Hello ladies and gentlemen, SeKo Starcraft back bringing you a professional replay from the Grandmaster Leagues featuring Idra, the top right, versus Xsnac. I thought it was Xanax for a second when I was looking at that. Good luck, have fun, Lord Idra. Idra? Nothing apparently. I just wonder what it's like sometimes being a very recognizable person on ladder. It's gotta be pretty tough. And it looks like our buddy in the blue protoss is gonna be going for what I would assume to be a forge expand. Because it's so much fun to go forge expand against zerg, just in case you catch them. No talking? Probably not. And it's really hard to tell if it's the real Idra. I don't know if there's a lot of spoof Idra accounts out there. Regardless, the only way you can really tell if it's Idra is how bad he rages in certain instances. And he's not talking at all at this point, so either he expects something stupid to happen, or maybe he's just had a bad day on ladder. I don't know. He is now rolling with TT Esports, and as a caster personality, I figured it'd be to his advantage to maybe talk a little bit with some of his fans. Just to try and get the word out there a bit more. Keyboard. There we go. And it is a forge expand. Probe's gonna go out now. Overlord's heading out. And it looks as though Idra is gonna go for an expansion first. So this might turn out really bad. Yeah, it's probably gonna turn out pretty bad. Like, if you had the opportunity to cannon rush somebody that's really well known like this, wouldn't you do it? Wouldn't you take that chance? I think it'd be cool. Probe's gonna come in, seize the expansion, and yeah, he's already got a plan down. That was a sick pylon placement. I don't even know how that worked. That was Giga Pro. That's a nice spot. I'm gonna have to... That's a really nice spot. I didn't realize that worked. And great, he can cancel out, covers that. This guy's got great control, actually. Nice plays. More cannons, and he's even gonna he's gonna poke at him a little bit too, just for good measure. Pool's a long ways off. I'm pretty sure this is dead. Let's see if he cancels it. I think he has to. I don't think it's worth him to try to keep it up. The difference is the protoss player has already invested, you know, 450 plus, well, about 500 resources worth. And it's just going to double expand. He can see what his opponent's doing, what the timing is over here. So he probably feels pretty safe in going for that. I don't know, I feel very weird as a Protoss player when I'm going for this point right here. Because I feel like I've got to finish off this wall up before I throw down that Nexus. And then when I watch these replays, like, well, the Lings are just getting out now. So getting down that Nexus earlier is super important. And I've lost games just because I go for a macro opening and I don't macro fast enough. Lings did look for any other pylons. So Idra will be up with 3 hatches here pretty soon as his opponent is getting up to his second Nexus. I don't know, let's see if this pylon, this probe will survive or not. I think he should be able to make it. It's really close. Nope, can't grab it. So 7x core is down. Quasi wall off here. He's not blocking it with anything. He does have a zealot on the way. He's even chrono boosting the zealot, which I find kind of strange. One probe will generally block long enough to try and keep things going. Oh. Yes, Idra did want to go for a run by. Lost 2 links in the process. There is a zealot out now though, and another one on the way. Chrono boosting on the zealots is very interesting. That's obviously not what Xanax, I'm just going to call him Xanax, wants to get out. Zealot's getting a bit of a surround there. Loses the zealot. Didn't lose any of the probes though, interestingly enough. How many hit points that guy got? 3? Decent. Really good control on those probes actually to keep those weakened ones alive. It's actually very impressive. Mothership core is out. That should be able to deal with things just fine. Is he gonna get a scout? Try to grab him, but not quite. Looks like the Ling will get a scout, but there's nothing to see in here. The thing about this, I've learned this from trying to cannon rush once or twice. That's like 500 minerals that he invested into this, and this tech is so far behind. It does have a +1 going in his, you know, warp gate. But back at home, 3 hatches up. If we look at the actual units count here, we actually have a lead for the Zerg player, even with that natural hatch being delayed. And he feels perfectly fine to just keep macroing up. Fueling's out on the map, just to be sure. Speed on the way. Twilight counts are going down. Right at the front of the wall when nobody would expect to look for it. And we'll see what the plan is here. More gateways. Makes sense. We'll see if there's just some sort of 2-base timing coming out of this here from Xsnac. As a Protoss player, I've been seeing it. It's either you're going to get up enough army to be able to safely take a third, or you're going to go for some sort of timing. Unfortunately, this little light pressure here didn't really work out for Mr. Xsnac. Very interesting spot for the lair, actually, from Idra. I'm not too sure if I agree with that. This base is easy to, like, snipe and siege. And this base is protected by other bases. So generally taking a lair here makes perfect sense. +1 on the way. +1 almost finished. Kind of surprised with the economy opening that we have from Idra here that he hasn't got a second evolution chamber down. Just to get out more of those upgrades. Because I would expect him to go for some sort of 3 or 4 base timing. Maybe a heavy roach or hydra. Just to put on that pressure before things get too out of hand. Have myself a little gin and soda with some lime juice. Drink of champions. Or alcohol abusers, one or the other. Oh yes! I almost didn't notice. I'm glad I caught that. You see that there's actually a spore and a spine going down in here, and the part of the reason is when you get this forward pylons that nobody kills, it's actually quite common to go DTs. And just take DTs over here to try to take care of this and attack from the central point, because you've got these protected, you know, pylons that nobody's really going to go after right away. So Idra is going to clean this up, and it does look like the Protoss player is interested in taking his 3rd base. But I'm sure he must feel fairly far behind at this point, even with the, you know, delays and damage he did. Does he know about that base in the top? He doesn't, actually, so maybe he doesn't know that he's that far behind yet. And he's going to go into Stalker Immortal. Pretty straightforward mix, a very safe mix. I would agree with it. Handful of roaches out here, and I always feel very hesitant when Idra does these kind of pushes. Just because, with a good time warp, because, you know, roach speed's not finished yet, a good time warp, blink is done, Immortals in place. These roaches could get easily taken out, and if he loses all of these, well, then maybe he's not going to have that same kind of lead that he really originally hoped to have. Stalker's going to roll out. Might be able to get himself a couple of roaches. Shows the blink. Lose, I think, 3 roaches there. Let's see if he wants to fight on the creep. I don't know if he should. There is a recall available, so it might not be a bad idea just to go push in, do some damage, warp home. He's not using that energy for anything else right now. Once again, he doesn't know about the northern base. Idra has all the creep connected now, essentially. Big swell of roaches, roach burrow, +2 attack on the way. +2 is going to be finished for the Protoss first. We'll see if that factors into it, as Idra is just going for a big roach max, essentially. There's no area of effect, and it's not like area effect against roaches is as big of a deal. Having the Immortals mixed in with the Sentries is going to be far more effective than necessarily getting out a couple of Colossus. So we'll see. It's a good chunk of roaches here. Not the best time warp. Idra's hoping to bait out any type of blink forward, obviously from the Protoss. Catch him with a cooldown isn't going. More units are streaming across the map. He's almost maxed out. He's got a couple more overlords, and he's essentially roach maxing just to go in there and do the damage. Time warp was alright, but now the roaches are just going to get as close as possible to the units here. You'll see that just more roaches in production. Just more and more roaches. He's just going to smother his opponent. I think Idra has this. It's just so many units here. +2 is finished with the protoss, whereas it's not finished yet with the zerg. Couple seconds. Next wave of roaches already on the way by. Got all that stuff hotkeyed. 45 roaches on the hotkey. Pretty decent. I'm not too sure what the protoss can do about this. I mean, he's got a decent economy, but he doesn't really have anything that's going to do crazy enough damage to deal with all these roaches. The Archon's a nice idea. I mean, storms would still do damage as well, but that's just too many units swarming right on top of it. And he's going to bust in that front door there. And GG's and leaves the game. That's a pretty good game by Idra. Now, once again, I hope it's the real Idra. I can usually only tell by if he swears at the guy and rage quits. So I haven't seen I don't know if I've casted a win by Idra in a while just because of that. But, SeKo Starcraft, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Likes me some Idra action. And we'll talk to you guys later.